part 2 to this votann video. Let's start talking about pretty much list building, right? So let's go to list building. Let's go to new recruit here. Okay, so here's what we're doing. Number one, let's just talk through the units. Uther is a great unit. Okay, he's actually very good. The issue with him is that he can't take enhancements, which sucks. And because our army is we're actually a tight-knit army, and so we can't always take Uther. If we do decide to take Uther, he does give us some benefits. He might be, relevant against certain lists. There's no you don't need to not take him, especially if you're not taking a big 10-man Terminator unit. I think he can see more play because then you can go with the warriors. You can go solo. When I run him, I always run Uther solo because he can stand in the open, and I deploy him last, and then my opponent just, has a bunch of units in the open. So on turn 1, I just give them a token, so I don't gotta put my early game tokens on it. Or I can bring them from reserves, give a token to something with the rapid ingress. I don't really do that though. I've never done that. And then the final thing about Uther is that if I put him in the open and my opponent goes, I'm going to shoot him and kill him because I drew assassinate or something, I don't know, or because there's a dude in the middle, well, sure, you can kill him, but if you don't, I'm going to pay a CP, give you a token because you brought him down to half life. Because he's a warlord, because he must be, then you're going to gain 2 tokens. If you do kill him, then again, you're going to gain multiple tokens. So Uther is a token economy unit. He's not really a damage unit, but he can be. But he's there to just get tokens and generate you more, more tokens basically. He's also immune to indirect, basically, because of half damage and all that jazz. You can kind of survive a little bit more. So he's cool. Iron Master is okay. People are taking him because he's 65 points, and he just has more dudes with him. He has a gun. He can heal Hecaton. I wouldn't really take a Iron Master, really. So if you're gonna take him with Thunderkin, the Thunderkins suck right now. So the Thunderkin unit does not exist. Do not take it. It is complete garbage. The Iron Master is, if you have 5 extra points, you want to take an Iron Master over an E-Champ to carry your enhancement, go for it. If you're taking more Hecatons, more Sagittars, and you can heal them randomly, sure. Or if you're randomly finding that, I need a few more models to screen out my backfield, you can take him over E-Champ, and then he has a few more models so you can screen out a little bit better. On your champion, amazing. I think 3 is a bit too much sometimes, but 3 is very fun. I suggest we're going to take 2 in our list automatically, because I think taking 2 is great. So let's just put 2 in there. The call. We're going to put the call into the list immediately because we want to give him the enhancement of... where is it? We're going to give him the enhancement so that we can basically get our... Where's the detachment? Hearthband. Oathband. Yes. Okay, Oathband is our thing. Configuration. Where's configuration? God, I hate this. Anyways, can I see it? Close. Can I delete it? It's just added for. Configuration, here we go. Detachment. Delete, 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 delete. Delete. Add 1. Go here, go to Oathband. Perfect. Go to the call, give him the Grim Demeanor. I hope that our enhancements go down in points. I hope the Revive goes down. I hope that Appraising Glare goes down, even though it's really good. Up the long list goes down to 10 points. I hope that the Grim Demeanor goes down to 15 points, even though it's very good. Or the Appraising Glare goes down, one or the other. I really think that Appraising Glare has to kind of go down, or Grim Demeanor needs to go down. I don't even understand. If they all stay the same, if all of our things stay the same, then our characters need to go down. I don't understand why a call is 70 points or Uther's 80 points. Right? I think that the Grimnir should go to 60 or even less, like 50 points. The Iron Master should go to 60 or something. And the Einir E-Champs, I think, are fine. I think it's the call specifically that I want to go down like 10 points. So I can pick between the call, which is basically a captain, or I pick the E-Champ. So it's both are good, both are do different things. Is do I want to do lethal hits and judgment tokens, or do I want to do reroll charges and mortal wounds? But if they're both the same points, then I can actually pick and choose. If they're two different points, then I'm either paying more points for the call, which is I don't really want to do that, or I just buy the E-Champ, and then the E-Champ's the cheapest one. So yeah, those are the characters. We're gonna go down the warriors now. 2 warrior units is the perfect amount. 3 is acceptable, but 2 is a perfect warrior unit. So we're gonna go with 2 of these guys. You basically always give them the you always take the ion blasters, although Eldar's in the meta currently, but I would still take ion blasters. And then you take the guns. Okay, you take all of these special things, and then you take the guns. Where are the guns at? Ion blaster. Special weapons are not here, apparently. But, oh, there we go. It's 2 special weapons. The special weapon is basically always the auto rifle. And then I take the, I take an auto rifle. And I take a rotary cannon. Alright? That's what I like. I like a rotary cannon and the auto rifle. For the max amount of shots, those things actually will hurt something. If you want to take the missile launcher, it's acceptable. The missile launcher is pretty good because you get another random missile shot. Then you get some anti-tank. It also has a blast profile, I believe. So yeah, it's got a blast profile, so it's good at killing Eldari and stuff as well. And then the magma reel. My guys are equipped with the magma reels from 9th edition, mostly, and the missile launchers. But man, the magma reel is still an option that you can take if you are dealing with lots of like heavy dudes. You can take it because it will hurt something. The problem is that's a one-shot gun, so you know, it is what it is. You can't really do anything about it. But I like all the small stuff because you can advance and shoot out of the Sagittars. So you just want lots of shots to clear whatever's on the objective. Okay, after that, we go down. So Thunderkin are garbage. This is the worst unit in the book. I don't know why it went up in points. I mean, I do know why it went up in points, because everybody was taking it. I don't know why they were taking it, because it's the worst unit in the whole book. So this unit needs to go back down to like 60 points for 3. Okay, then I'll maybe take some. Or needs to get buffed in terms of damage output. The Berserkers, we always take at least 1. I'm going to put 2 into this list. Actually, I'm going to keep it 1, okay, because this is like this is what I like no matter what. So 1 unit of Berserkers with damage 3 axes. You always take the concussion mauls because you don't have damage 3 in your army, so you always take it. I understand that the plasma axes hit on 2s with tokens and you get more attacks. The thing is, I'm not using this unit to go kill Space Marines. I'm using it to kill 3 wound bodies. Or if I go into World Eaters or Death Guard, and Death Guard have -1 damage, then the damage 3 goes to damage 2, still kills Plague Marines. And if I'm versing monsters and tanks, every single one that goes through is extra damage. And if the unit only has 1 token on it, the concussion maul's still wounded on 2s, so it's good for that. Okay, after that we go with bikes. So we're gonna start with 3 bikes, because 3 bikes is great, but we're gonna delete one of these and go. One of these bikes is gonna go into 6 bikes, and then obviously we take the high las as usual. Yep. So we take the high las, and then we're good to go. Here we take all of these special upgrades that we have, and then we're good to go. Why does it say 9? Oh, because of this nonsense. 6, cool. So the reason, so on your 3-minute bikes, you always take the scanner for ignore cover and the searchlight, or no, sorry, not the scanner. You take the searchlight and then you take one of these high-rise weapons, right? That's obvious. So that's how that bike unit looks. Because you want ignores cover. Ignores cover is very good. I don't think it's the searchlight, I think it's a scanner, honestly. Scanner does something. Either way, you take the one that ignores cover, so you can ignore cover and do AP 1-2 damage shots into them. And that's how the bikes look. So now we're getting into our chunkier units and our, where's our transport at? Here, we're gonna have 2 Sagittars. There's 2 Sagittars, well not 2 actually, we need 3 Sagittars. The 3 Sagittars are to split up our warriors, so we can have all of them everywhere. So each of these get 5, and then the final 5 warriors go on your home objective to sticky it on turn 1. And then what happens is on turn 1, you send 1 Sagittar out, the troops get out, the berserkers get in, right? So our berserkers over here will get into that Sagittar and then stage and stay fine, or there'll be a second Sagittar somewhere else that will get the berserkers in later on and go somewhere else, basically. That's how that works. Finally, we go down to our terminators. I don't know why there's all these fortifications, but we can't take them. Okay, Hecaton Land Fortress. I'm gonna put 1 into the list because we want something that can ignore cover, shoots quite heavily, can tank some damage, is OC5, and is good. The berserkers can obviously also get into it. And then we're gonna go to terminators, which is infantry terminators. So here are the terminators. Hearthguard. Let's go with berserker Hearthguard. Okay, so let's go with the 10-man. Because the 10-man is the best. Now, I always take the plasma because, again, I don't need volume of shots to kill 1 wound bodies with no saves. What I need is plasma with ignore modifiers to kill custodies, to kill dreadnoughts, to kill 2-up save cover dudes that don't want to die, redemptor dreadnoughts. All of these things are going to get hurt with the plasma. The other thing is that, again, this is a Terminator unit, so when it comes down, it's going to shoot something, but then it needs to charge a second unit to make its points back, like most of the time. Unless your opponent's that good that he doesn't let you, then of course you need to find ways around that. But this unit it's a multi-purpose unit with guns and melee, so it must do both jobs. And then it's a durable unit on top of that. A lot of people only use it to shoot something, then get shot at and try to survive. You're missing out on all of the melee output that it has, okay? So every time we use this giant expensive unit, we have to rely on the shooting, then the melee on top of it, to get the most value out of it. Then the durability aspect of it automatically comes. I think that the shooting plus melee aspect is more valuable than the shooting plus durability aspect of it. So we want to be using those 2 things as most as possible. Let's bring this up to 9. Hearthguard, perfect. Okay, if you run the wall kites, it's not a big deal, but just know that I like the plasma guns on my 10-man, and also if there's a lot of space marines in the meta, which there are, this is another reason to take plasma guns. And then with the call with lethal hits, the Overwatch potential is also useful. And so when you Overwatch something, the plasma gun, usually if you get a 6 to wound, or 6 to hit on Overwatch, which becomes a lethal hit, you get like 2 or 3 of those, that picks up 2 or 3 space marines, right? So it can actually do some damage, and then your grenades pick up 1 or 2 extra by themselves. So potentially you could kill 5 space marines if you roll like above average. Now we have 5 terminators here. Why do we have 5? Is just to go inside the Hecaton and shoot something. Now I'm gonna put the E-champ, one of these E-champs with it, because we want the -1 of wound. We want to be most efficient as possible with our unit, and it gives us reroll charges, which saves us CP, and it does charge mortals, which allows us to crack something that's a tank size with the mass hammer, etc. And then our first E-champ here, this guy's just going to get the appraising glare. Right, appraising glare is a must-have. You have to have it. This is the most important enhancement. This unit right here, the Iron Champion plus appraising glare, is the most important unit basically in the votann army for efficiency, besides your damage dealers. Okay, so we're at 1840 points. Okay, 160 points left. This is when things kind of start to like fall off the ropes, right? A lot of people like to add Jaegers. Right, if we add Jaegers, 90 points, we're at 2020. We could drop enhancement, which we're not going to do, so we have to drop a Jaeger squad. Once we drop the Jaeger squad, we're back to having 70 points left. Essentially, we can take another Iron Champion, which is not a bad idea. So we'll put one of those in to the list here. But actually, I'm going to put in one of these Grimnirs, okay? I'll tell you why. So why am I putting in a Grimnir? There's a lot of Tyranids at your local stores, etc. A lot of battle shock tests. The Grimnir can help with that, so that when you sticky an objective, the other objective, you're like, oh, I can't do the secondary because I'm battle shocked, or I'm gonna get battle shocked from the Tyranid army, then I won't have the objective controlled, and I can't sticky it. So you take the Grimnir, you can run him solo, or you can run him with a 5-man, and he can just unbattle shock your unit when you become battle shocked. He also has a okay shooting profile. He's cheap, and so you can use him as that. You can also put him into reserves and use him as a scoring tool. Put him in the Hecaton so that the berserkers have some backup. All this jazz. His melee sucks, but it is what it is. He's just a single dude that can help you out. So we're going to go with the Grimnir just because I'm sure all of you guys own one. Might as well put him in the list and have fun with it. Okay, now let's talk about why this list sucks and why it doesn't suck and how to optimize it. Because this is where most of you guys are with your list. Number one, we don't have a lot of scouts. Okay, our scouts are 6-man bikes and 3 Sagittars. Well, most of our Sagittars aren't scouting in the open. They only have 6 scouts, so them scouting or not scouting isn't too much of a difference. Because if we want to get somewhere, we can advance them the same amount and then disembark our guys and get onto the objective, do the action or whatever. Not really do the action, but we can get onto the point and then just score it or shoot stuff. So the Sagittar is fine. But the Jaegers are not fine. Because there's nothing to scout, so there's nothing to protect ourselves. Before the Jaegers came out, we basically just didn't take them, and we took 3 more bikes. Okay, so we're going to duplicate this. This was the optimal list for votann, basically. Was a Hecaton, 3 Sagittars, an extra unit of bikes, 1 bigger bike, and then all of the Einherjar Hearthguard and all this jazz. Is basically how we ran this list here. Okay, so that's what we're doing at the moment. But we have another problem, basically. Our other problem is that the Grimnir doesn't do too much, right? He's a technical piece, doesn't do too much. So we can always get rid of him. The other thing is that this Einherjar Champion plus the 5 Hearthguard. Do we really, really, really need that? Right, that's a big question. Do we actually need that unit or not? Let's just go with that we do for now, because we're taking Hackathons, so might as well. We go down to the Pioneers. Here's a big question. If we so normally we have 9 Pioneers. This screen our backfield. If you've been getting coaching with me for like monthlies or multiple sessions, especially with votann, you understand that the magic number is 3, and you need to screen your backfield, right? If you're screening your backfield with 2 units of bikes, then you don't need the 3rd unit. The 3rd unit either is going to scout up turn 1, go score your points, move block, or die. That's not really what votann wants to do. So we're going to delete one of these. There goes 90 points. So now we're at 95 points left over. Well, what do? We can add Uther in. Right, he's another cool character we can have. We can add in Thunderkin. That's not really something we want to do because we understand that they're a bad unit. So we delete the Grimnir. We now have 160 points again. We're back to normal. So we have to go think again. Okay, well, do we take a third Einherjar squad with no characters? Right? That's not a bad idea if you think about it. It's not bad at all because we get another 5-man to go into the hackathon. So we're going to do that. Okay, so this is where our list is basically at. We have no more points to do anything with. This is where it comes down to. We have 10 more points if we really wanted to. We could drop the 3 pioneers into another berserker unit. That is something that is very much possible, but we're not going to do that here. We're going to keep this the same. So this is the Votann's problem, that we have 10 points left over. We pretty much have nothing to do with it. If we drop the call into another E-champ, then we save, then we have 20 points left over, right? Then we can kind of upgrade, I don't know, a berserker or warrior unit into a 4th Sagittar. This is what I like to call like the min-max or yeah, the min-max build. Not a min-max build, but a YOLO build or like something like that, where we're just trying to go maximizing our offense but no defense, and don't care about people getting into our backfield, don't care about having enough units to score. We're just bringing as much damage as possible. So we cut a unit of warriors, 100 points. We put in another Sagittar, we go up to 4 Sagittars. That is a excellent decision, but we're not going to do that because this is a staple. 2 times 10 warriors is a staple. We're going to keep it. The call with 10 terminators is a staple. We're going to keep it because that's what our list archetype is doing. So we can also cut both of these Hearthguard and we get 300 points. So one of my newer Votann clients, not newer, but somebody was asking a question of like, what do you put inside the hackathons? Well, traditionally we don't put anything in the hackathons. The hackathons for us as Votann are just a shooting tank. It has room for units, which is not very useful on, we can't take 10 Terminators or like 6 Thunderkin inside of it, so we're kind of screwed in that aspect. That all we can put in there is basically Berserkers and like 5 Hearthguard, which is not really what we want to do. It's good for 5 Hearthguard, but not really much else. So we could take another hackathon. We could cut the hackathon into 2 more Sagittars, right, which is a really good build. Because this, just cutting this alone will get us 2 more Sagittars. But then we need stuff to put into the Sagittars, right? Which we have 4, 5. We have the perfect amount. We could do that 1-for-1 swap. Is it worth it? I really like 1 hackathon. I think it does a lot of damage. And if we're gonna go 5 Sagittars, then we can consider taking the Jaegers again. If we're taking the Jaegers again, then we might want to cut Hearthguard or something, right, to put in more bikes, or just the Jaegers, or whatever we want to do. So it's all these like small questions that we want to be asking ourselves. It's very difficult, but over time we start to realize that, okay, we gotta pick and choose. We can't have everything. All of these lists that have like a little bit of Sagittars, a little bit of hackathon, a little bit of bike, a little bit of whatever, it doesn't really work out because we have too many Hearthguard here. 20 Hearthguard. We need to cut some of this Hearthguard squad. So what we're gonna do is basically delete this. By the way, if you want to run this list and run it as more Hearthguard heavy, I think this is perfectly fine to run. And what I'm going to do immediately right now actually is I'm going to cut this 10-man. Okay, so if you run the 10-man, it's fine. Most of you guys already have that, but if you're watching this video, we cut the 10-man, we put in another 5-man unit. Okay, and then we have 3 times 5 Hearthguard. They're going to be inside of hackathons. One by one, they're going to come out and do a lot of damage. This is the correct way to build this. And then we could have a 4 Sagittar, which is usually where people end up. And then again, you can see that we're back to like 65 points. We can basically take a third, where is it? We can take a third Einherjar champion, right? Then we have 5 points left over. What we basically do here is we don't need the Grim Demeanor, but I'll still take it because we have nothing else to do. If you do cut the 20 plus Appraising Glare, we're kind of left over with like random points. We're not going to do that. We're going to stick exactly with this. And this is like the triple, this is the triple Einherjar Hearthguard build. We don't need Jaegers because we don't have a lot of scouts. We're not trying to scout up the board. We're trying to control the mid board with our Hecatons and our Berserker and our Hearthguard. The final addition you could make to this is you essentially either cut a character, move some points around to add in another Berserker squad, or you can cut one of these warriors to add in another Berserker squad, right? Going up to 2 times 5, and then you have the you have the 1 10 man split into 5 men, and the 2 Berserkers going to these Sagittars. All fits. That's an excellent idea. And then you have your bikes and everything's fine. Where are our bikes at? Right here, right? So we can also cut. So if you really want to do this, you can also cut. Let me fix this up a little bit. So we cut the 6 man. We go to a 3 man. We cut and we bring the warriors back. And we're 5 points over, which basically means that we need to cut one of these enhancements. The Grim Demeanor is the first one I cut because it's not really needed on this. So we're going to cut this one. And yeah, we're at this like weird number point now, which is always weird. You can take a long list. It's not horrible, I guess. You could cut the call completely, but I would keep him because you want to be running a call. You could put in Uther to have some more flexibility here. It's actually not a bad decision. Let's go with that. I think that's pretty cool. Uther's cool. 3 Einherjar champions is very cool. Appraising Glare on the Einherjar champion is excellent. Then the 2 times 5 Berserkers is perfect amount, right? 3 Einherjar Hearthguard, 2 bikes just to screen the backfield and do actions late game, 1 Hecaton to keep disembarking our units, and then 4 Sagittars for our guys to go inside of. If you wanted to do a little bit more, we can basically cut 2 Sagis and put in a second Hecaton, and now we're at the 1 Berserker goes in here, 1 warrior goes in here, the other warrior goes on home objective. Then we have land fortresses, 2 times 5 Terminators go inside of this, or 1 Terminator and 1 Hecaton, 1 Berserker in the Sagittar and the other Hecaton. The guy with the Appraising Glare stands basically on the board to mark an objective or in deep strike. And the other one also goes into reserves basically always. And you kind of just do that. It's a very good build. So yeah, we kind of went from mixed build to the double Hecaton, double Einherjar Hearthguard build with Berserkers. This is something, if I saw this in a tournament, I'll be scared, because this is basically, you know, pretty much optimal. Going through all the list building and creativity, and whatnot. 2 times 3 bikes. You could also, if you really wanted to go like more bike heavy, you could cut the last Pioneer squad for Jaegers. Sorry, not bike heavy, what I'm saying. If you wanted less bikes, you take less bikes, and you take, essentially you can take another unit of battle line. Oh, we already have 2 times 10 battle line. Yeah, so you can cut that, and you can put in another Berserker squad right here, and make 1 into a 10 man, or take 3 times 5. 3 times 5 is cool. I think at this point though, I would pretty much, yeah, 3 times 5 is pretty excellent here. Yeah, 3 times 5 is pretty nice. But because you're running double Hecaton, you already have a lot of MSU. I'll probably cut the I'll turn one of these Berserkers into a 10 man, honestly, because that way we have all of this with the mole launchers, obviously. So we have 8 with the mole launchers. The reason why I do this is because sometimes you just want one unit to go into something and you're worried about interrupts and these type of deals. So you send one big unit, kill something. Also, fight on death, they charge it. They gotta deal with a lot of berserkers. They also have to deal with the fact that you have multiple different wooden models in the squad with feel no pains. And having 10 berserkers on one side of the board can really just scare your opponent from ever interacting with it. You can also put the 10 men inside the hecaton, and then the hecaton can go into reserves, come in off a flank with the rapid ingress. Then you can basically disembark, move 8 inches with the berserkers and charge something is also something you can do. So this is pretty good here. I'm sure people have played this style of list. That's kind of my list building votann and how I like to build these lists. Now obviously having one unit of bikes is very sketchy, but like I said, you just cut one of these berserkers and you go back to 2 bikes. You don't need more than 2 bikes. If you want to have more than 2 bikes, this is when people start cutting the warriors, or they start cutting this on your champion with the appraising glare, right? You really have to cut back on things to get more of these in, or you basically gotta be doing all that jazz. And again, you don't need to run 3x5 Hearthguard, because in my first video I did tell you guys that this archetype was really bad in my opinion, and it's not very good. It does a lot of damage, but only if your opponent lets you deal 5 Hearthguard, get out, shoot. 5 Hearthguard, get out, shoot. 5 Hearthguard, get out, shoot. If your opponent lets you do that for 3 turns, the first turn you do nothing. Turns 2, 3, 4, you get out and shoot with Hearthguard and charge. You're getting maximum efficiency value out of your Hearthguard. And then a good opponent is going to be like, well, what if I just fight you all at once? Only one of your units is getting out. Only one of your units is in deep strike. So you only have what you have on the board right now, and you're not getting a maximum value. You also don't have judgment tokens on everything. So we're just gonna fight, and your guys might not even be able to get out the hecatons if you're wrapped. You might lose a bunch of dudes if I all in you before they have a chance to shoot back at me. And if you draw some action secondaries that turn, you might miss out on like 8 points on action secondaries, because you just need to deal with my entire army. Right, votann is very good at dealing damage, but only if you have tokens. And we like to play a much more slower paced game, rather than our opponent is just running at us. If your opponent's playing orcs, world leaders, well, we beat the shadow world leaders, but if they're playing a really aggressive army, marines and these mid-range armies really don't like dealing with everything's coming on turn 2. And then you have to either kill them or you die, basically. Right? I'm going to quickly build what I like at the moment, okay, which is basically, I'm gonna give you a nice bit of everything. One of those, we have Pioneer with High Labs, we have 2 of these, we have 4 of these, so that's a mounted unit that we basically have. I don't know what this is doing. So we have a 6-man bike for damage. We have a 3-man bike for damage. Then we delete all these 5-mans because I don't like them. Then we have a 5-man berserker squad. Then we have 2 sets of warriors. We have 2 Sagittars here. Probably have more Sagis. Then we have where is everything else? We don't have Jaegers. We have a call back in the list, because the call is going to give us the enhancement for Grim Demeanor. Then one of these guys is going to have Wayfarer's Grace. Then one of these guys has Appraising Glare. And then we add in 10 Terminators real quick. Where's 10 Terminators at? Now, the 10 Terminators have gotten worse with Void Armor being nerfed, which is very unfortunate. Same thing with the Hecaton, which is why I like running more bikes. But I'm still going to run 10 Terminators because they table people and I can create space for them to come in through different tactics and being better than my opponent usually, or just you know, I have some speed with votann. We can create a lot of space with lots of units. And then, so this is the interesting part, is once we're at 4 Sagis with a hecaton with all of this, I honestly, like, I have 90 points here. I can grab another berserker unit, which I really don't want to do. Okay, what I like to do is basically go down here and add in this 3-man bike unit becomes another 6-man bike unit as my mouse dies. So let me grab the charger, plug it in. So we basically go down, we delete the 3-man bike, we add a 6-man bike, and now we kind of have the best of all the world. We have maximum damage output from 2 units of bikes and Hearthguard, and then we have a 1 land fortress to do like reliable damage. We have 4 Sagittars to kind of combine arms, do damage and transport. We have 1 unit of berserkers to go behind and kill something behind a wall. We have a lot of warriors to basically screen and play the game out, and then we have our E-champs and stuff to be our secondary berserker squad, right? So these two move together, one of them comes back to life, and everything's fine. Oh, I have Grim Demonator as well, so I can ignore modifiers on like something scary like monoliths or anything that's like Dark Angel Knights. So I think this is a really good list. There's 2,000 points on the nose. Oh, Uther's still here. I completely forgot about Uther. Okay, we randomly have 80 points left over, which unfortunately can't really become anything. But you know what? We'll just take Uther because he's cool. So there you go. You have 80 extra points to do whatever you want with. I think the realistic option is we cut Uther. We cut the revive on the Wayfarer's Grace. And that gives us another points for more berserker squads. So we cut this dude. We cut Wayfarer's Grace. And we take 5 more berserkers. And this is the perfect list for me, basically. If you want to be even... Can I do that? If I cut the berserkers and... Yeah, if I cut the berserkers, I can take 3 more bike unit, which is interesting. Or I take Jaegers. Now, this is something I want to talk about. When you guys get coaching with me and list building advice, the 2 bikes in the back, aka a 6-man squad of bikes, are screening your backfield. They don't need to do anything. Okay? The Jaegers, if you don't take 2 times 3 bikes, or a 6-man bike squad, the Jaegers can stretch out in your backfield as a 10-man for 90 points and screen out the backfield. So they can be a multi-purpose unit which can screen out the front if you need to in certain matchups, or screen out the back. Okay, which gives you space in what you want to do. And it's also a melee unit, so it can also replace the berserkers and go in and charge and do a lot of damage into something squishy that the berserkers don't want to go into, like 1-wound bodies. Or if you're versing votann, your berserkers can go into their... I'm sorry, not your berserkers. Your Jaegers can go into their berserkers with 10 of them and do a bunch of damage, pick up their berserkers with tokens on them and whatnot. So that's an interesting option. I'm running 2 times 6 bikes here. I'm not taking Jaegers because I don't find any real value for them. I don't like infiltrating a unit. One of the first things you learn when you play infiltrators, and that I teach, is don't put them in the open to die unless you absolutely need to. And if you just play the game without putting them in a place where they're going to die, even if you lose the game, do that like 3-4 times and you'll win a game eventually. And you'll be like, okay, so I didn't lose them. I didn't lose the game. It was the same game. I just learned from the 3 previous games, learned what I need to do differently, and learned how to move block, how to adjust, how to pace myself, what is the correct timing and when to go in. Do I need to stay back another turn? Do I need to go in more aggressively? Do I need to play for secondaries more aggressively? Right? Were the Jaegers way more useful because I chose to not send them in on turn 2 and I held them back till turn 3? Or I sent them in before my opponent got to charge them? Or I used them as a wall so I won? This is all something you can think about because they can go through the walls unlike the bikes. So, yeah. that's pretty much this video here. Hopefully you guys like it. Made it so you guys don't have to pay me for coaching for votann and list building. Use all these things I talked about and come up with your own ideas, your own styles, right? A lot of you guys don't know how to use the Tannhäuser guard. A lot of you guys forget to rapid ingress. I say a lot of you guys, there's only a few of you guys, but yeah, the few of you guys who are into votann, you just don't take the 10-man, split them into 2 5-mans. You still run the hecaton, right? It's still here to provide damage, and if you want to, you can also just cut all of the Hearthguard and basically put in 2 more hecatons, and then go up here, cut the call, and you know, you've got 35 points. You can cut the enhancement on this dude, right, and then you got 35 points left over. I mean, I don't know how to cut 35 points really, but what you have to do is basically cut one of these bikes into a 3-man, which is right here. So we get a 3-man bike squad, and then we go back up and we put in, like, this is again too many points, but yeah, we can take a third. We can take a Grimnir unit. We got 10 points left over. This is where you would cut one of the warriors, since we have 3 hecatons. You can cut one of them. You can cut one of these guys. You can cut basically whatever you want. If we cut rid of this, we go down, we cut 1 Sagittar. Then we have 170 points left over. We can basically add in 1 5-man Terminator unit, or add in way more troops. Like we can go heavier on berserkers. Let's just go with more warrior. Let's go with more berserkers. 70 points. We can add a 3rd on here champion in here, right here, for even more melee combat. We got 10 points left over. We don't really need a Praising Glare in here, but we also don't have points for anything else, so that's kind of it. You can just make a list like that: 3 Sagittars, 3 land fortresses, 1 6-man bike, 1 3-man bike, 3 berserker squads, bunch of warriors. Hell, let's cut one of these warriors back and turn one of these berserkers into a 10-man, and that will give us even more melee output, right? So we're looking at 1 shooting unit, 3 hecatons to do a bunch of damage. The bikes come out when we want to do a lot of damage into something later into the game, or being rushed, or horde armies. And then we got all of these berserkers to go melee, melee, melee. We got warriors to score points and stick your home objective. We got a bunch of E-champs that are going to be solo boloing around the map. And they're basically another berserker squad that does a lot of damage when they go in together. And then we got a Praising Glare to provide. We have less warriors, so Praising Glare will give us token generation, and all that. If we did want to cut him, we could. I mean, we don't really want to cut him though, so yeah, we just run this essentially, and everything's fine. Yeah, it looks pretty solid to me. I wouldn't really run this myself, but it works, right? And we got lots of berserkers, lots of hecatons. This is pretty much the same build that people take. Yeah. It's actually the same build. We just don't take E-champs as much, I believe. They basically don't take E-champs. If we cut both of the E-champs, they take like 1 E-champ with a Praising Glare, and then we get 130 points. I don't even know, like, they could take another Sagittar to go up to 4, I believe is what it is. Yeah, 4 Saggis, got 15 points left over. Like, kind of out of points at that point, basically. So, yeah, do with it as you want, essentially. But it's pretty good. Alright, thanks.